Our story begins not on Earth, but in a void of unimaginable density and heat. 13.8 billion years ago, in a fraction of a second, an event we call the Big Bang occurred. From a single point, all space, time, matter, and energy burst into existence. The universe began its grand, cosmic expansion, a process that continues to this day. In the fiery aftermath, the simplest elements, hydrogen and helium, began to form. For hundreds of millions of years, the universe was a dark, swirling sea of gas. Gravity, the silent architect, began its work, pulling these vast clouds together. The pressure and temperature at their cores ignited, and the first stars blazed to life, scattering light into the cosmic darkness for the very first time. These first-generation stars were cosmic giants, burning brighter and faster than any that would follow. Within their stellar furnaces, through the process of nuclear fusion, heavier elements were forged: carbon, oxygen, iron, the very building blocks of our world. When these massive stars reached the end of their lives, they exploded in spectacular supernovae, seeding the cosmos with these precious new materials. From these enriched clouds of gas and dust, new generations of stars and planetary systems would be born. It was a cycle of cosmic birth, death, and rebirth, played out across billions of years and unimaginable distances. About 4.6 billion years ago, in a quiet corner of the Milky Way galaxy, a new star began to shine. Our sun, around it, a swirling disk of leftover gas and dust. A protoplanetary disk coalesced under gravity. Chunks of rock and ice collided and stuck together, growing larger and larger over millions of years. This chaotic process, known as accretion, formed the planets of our solar system. Among them was a small, rocky world, the third from the sun. This was the early Earth, a hellish landscape of molten rock, constantly bombarded by asteroids and comets from the chaotic young solar system. Its atmosphere was toxic, its surface a sea of lava. It was a world entirely inhospitable to life as we know it. But even in this violent beginning, the seeds of our future were being sown. The relentless bombardment by comets and asteroids, which were rich in ice, delivered a crucial ingredient: water. Over hundreds of millions of years, this water vapor condensed and fell as rain, filling the planet's basins and forming the first oceans. Earth began to cool, its molten surface solidifying into a crust. The atmosphere started to change, and the stage was slowly being set for the most remarkable event in our planet's history. Life was about to make its debut. Roughly 3.8 billion years ago, in the warm, shallow waters of these primordial oceans, or perhaps deep within hydrothermal vents on the seafloor, something extraordinary happened. Simple chemical compounds, energized by lightning or solar radiation, organized themselves into complex molecules capable of self-replication. This was the origin of life. The first living things were simple, single-celled organisms, microscopic pioneers in a barren world. For nearly 2 billion years, these microbes were the sole inhabitants of Earth, silently transforming the planet. A group of them, called cyanobacteria, developed a revolutionary new process: photosynthesis. They harnessed the power of the sun to create energy, and in doing so, released a waste product that would change the world forever: oxygen. This great oxidation event was a planetary catastrophe for much of the existing anaerobic life, but it paved the way for more complex organisms that could thrive on this new, energy-rich gas. The oxygen-rich atmosphere also led to the formation of the ozone layer, which shielded the surface from the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation, allowing life to eventually venture out of the protective oceans and onto the land. Around 540 million years ago, a burst of evolutionary innovation known as the Cambrian explosion occurred. In a relatively short geological time span, life diversified into a dazzling array of complex forms. The ancestors of almost all modern animal groups appeared, equipped with shells, exoskeletons, and rudimentary eyes. The oceans teemed with bizarre and wonderful creatures, turning the silent seas into a bustling, competitive ecosystem. The colonization of land began around 470 million years ago. First came the humble plants, like mosses and ferns, anchoring themselves to the barren rock and creating the first soils. They were followed by insects and other arthropods, venturing into a new, unclaimed world. Vertebrates, our own distant ancestors, made the transition from water to land with the evolution of amphibians. This led to the age of reptiles, which culminated in the reign of the dinosaurs. For over 150 million years, these magnificent creatures dominated every corner of the globe. From the colossal sauropods to the fearsome Tyrannosaurus rex, they were the undisputed masters of Earth. Then, 66 million years ago, catastrophe struck from the heavens. An asteroid, 6 miles wide, slammed into the planet near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. The impact triggered a global cataclysm, earthquakes, tsunamis, and a thick cloud of dust that blotted out the sun, plunging the world into a long, dark winter. The dinosaurs, along with 75% of all species on Earth, were wiped out. But this mass extinction event created an opportunity. In the shadow of the dinosaurs, a group of small, nocturnal mammals had survived. With their giant competitors gone, they diversified, filling the vacant ecological niches. This was the dawn of the age of mammals. Among these mammals, a new group emerged, the primates. Adapted for life in the trees, they developed grasping hands, forward-facing eyes for depth perception, and larger brains. In the grasslands of Africa, around 7 million years ago, a lineage of these primates took a pivotal evolutionary step. They began to walk upright onto legs. This adaptation, bipedalism, freed their hands, allowing them to carry food, tools, and their young. These early hominins, like Australopithecus, were our distant ancestors. Over millions of years, their brains grew larger and more complex. They began to fashion stone tools, harnessing technology for the first time. About 300,000 years ago, a new species appeared on this African stage, Homo sapiens, us, anatomically modern humans. We possessed a unique combination of traits, a highly developed brain, the capacity for complex language, and a profound ability for abstract thought and cooperation. These abilities gave us an unprecedented advantage. We formed social groups, shared knowledge, and developed sophisticated cultures. We learned to control fire, which provided warmth, protection, and a way to cook food, unlocking more nutrients and fueling the growth of our energy-hungry brains. Beginning around 70,000 years ago, small bands of Homo sapiens began to migrate out of Africa. They spread across Asia, into Europe, across the frozen land bridge to the Americas, and sailed to Australia. They adapted to every climate and environment on Earth, from the frozen Arctic tundra to the lush Amazon rainforest. This journey was not easy. They faced ice ages, new predators, and changing landscapes. But their ingenuity, social bonds, and ability to innovate allowed them to not only survive, but thrive. They were the ultimate explorers, the pioneers of the planet. Around 12,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, another revolution began. In several parts of the world independently, humans started to domesticate plants and animals. This was the agricultural revolution. Instead of hunting and gathering, people could now produce their own food. This led to settled life, the first villages, and a surplus of resources. Population sizes boomed, with a stable food supply. Not everyone needed to be a farmer. New roles emerged: artisans, soldiers, priests, and leaders. Villages grew into towns, and towns grew into the first cities. Civilization was born. In the fertile river valleys of Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, and China, the first great civilizations arose. They developed writing, allowing knowledge to be recorded and passed down through generations. They created laws, governments, monumental architecture, and complex religions. They invented the wheel, mathematics, and astronomy, gazing at the same stars that had formed our world billions of years earlier. This was the dawn of recorded history. From these ancient cradles, empires rose and fell. Trade routes connected continents, spreading goods, ideas, and cultures. Great philosophical and religious traditions emerged, attempting to answer the profound questions of human existence. Science and art flourished, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and expression. Our journey has been long and improbable, from a singular point of cosmic fire to the formation of stars and planets. From the first spark of life in primordial oceans to the rise of creatures who could look back at the cosmos and wonder. Our history is written in the stars, in the rocks beneath our feet, and in the very DNA that connects us to every living thing that has ever been. We are the inheritors of a 13.8 billion-year-old legacy. We are the universe, become self-aware. And our story, the story of humanity, is just beginning. Thank you for watching.